What's good, you gamers? It's your boy, Jonathan Bridges, with another video. Actually, the first video on this channel. This is going to be my commentary reaction style channel. And to kick it off, we're going to be doing a review of the March 10th episode of Raw. So let's get started with this. I'm a hardcore WWE fan. Been a fan since WrestleMania 28 when I was around, 7 years old. So I've been a wrestling fan for about 13 years, alright? I watched it up to WrestleMania 30. We then moved back to South Carolina, where I currently am now. And I fell out of it because my dad was busy with work and all kinds of other things. So I didn't get to enjoy the product as much. And from what I hear, after a few years, it went really downhill. Though I was kind of around for the AEW Rise, the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Me and my friend Ethan Scott, if you're watching, sub brother, we watched some of it a little while after it came out, and I was very impressed with that. And I was very impressed at the idea of Cody Rhodes being a main eventer, because in the time that I watched it, Cody Rhodes was the dark-haired, trunks-wearing baby. You know, he had his moments, the fun stuff with the bags and all that, but Cody was never a main eventer. He was a jobber back then. And so here we are now, it's 2025. I've been keeping up with it since after WrestleMania 39. I loved hearing that Roman Reigns was a main eventer because I always liked Roman. I know not everyone did, but he was awesome. And I wanted him to win at 39, but on the build up to 40, I fell in love with Cody Rhodes. Now, my favorite wrestler of all time is always going to be Randy Orton, but if I got into wrestling now, it'd probably be Cody Rhodes because everything they do with him, I love. And we're going to talk about the things I don't like. But you're going to get quite a mixed reaction when it comes to these wrestling reviews with me because, on the one hand, I am the die-hard fan like Santi Zap. On the other hand, I'm the die-hard fan that hates it right now with C-Jax. Shout out to C-Jax. Love that guy. And I'm also a bit of a nerd, like WrestleChop. Shout out to WrestleChop. So you're going to be getting multiple reactions from me. I think the product is the best it's been in a long time, but there's always these little things in the build-up to stuff that Triple H does that I really don't like. I'll start by saying this. I haven't fully watched an episode of Raw live to completion since the second episode on Netflix. Since then, I've gone to bed after about 30 minutes to an hour, and I watch it the next day, and I will skip through some parts and get to the end of it. It's not to say that it's necessarily bad, but I'm not hooked. Now, next week when John Cena comes out, I'll be very hooked. I mean, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and it's finally getting interesting. But this episode was no different. I just did not feel like watching all of it. I had a feeling Roman was going to come back, and he did. And we'll get into everything from the episode. But I will start off by saying that, I am not just, locked in on Raw. And I hate hearing this excuse from people, but I have to say it. Commercials suck on Netflix, all right? Netflix is as expensive as it is, and I know that they have the different features, so you don't have to get the ads, but it's expensive as it is, and we're getting ads. I feel like if we're going to be getting ads on Netflix, then at the very least, when I watch it the next day, that 3 minutes that's cut from the match, it should be there for me to watch. There's no reason that I shouldn't be able to watch the full match without that little blackout, black in. You know, it's very annoying. And then when you are watching it the next day without ads, which thank God the ads don't play afterwards, I thought that was going to be what happened, you just get that 5 seconds of darkness, and it kind of takes you out of it. On top of that, let's talk about the actual matches. It's very hit or miss for me. There are some matches that are crazy that happen, like Punk versus Rollins at the premiere, Rhea versus Io last week. We do get some crazy matches that are good, but I'm just not feeling it with the New Day, man. Their heel turn was awesome, and up until Cena doing his heel turn, I thought it was one of the greatest heel turns of all time. That may be an over-exaggeration, but just at least within the last few years, it was awesome. It was different. It didn't involve beating someone up, unlike Cena, who's exactly, it was classic heel turn with a little bit of rockisms. But I'm just not feeling the New Day. I think they waited too long to get them going, and I still want them to win the tag titles at Mania. But I don't care about the LWO. I don't. I love Rey Mysterio. But this team of his is garbage. Chad Gable interfering with the American Mask? I love that. I love it because of how stupid it is. However, Chad Gable ain't going to be shit with that. It's very unfortunate because Chad Gable... Look, I wanted Sammy to fight Gunther at Mania. I know not everyone agreed with that, but I prefer that. Shit, I got a unibrow on camera. I'm going to be called a mark. But Chad Gable should have beat Sammy. They had multiple matches. Chad Gable should have become Intercontinental Champion. He should have went strong into the Wyatt Six feud. A lot of things should have happened. In my opinion, this is the perfect time to bring in Hulk Hogan. I can't remember exactly what his masked persona was called. Was it Mr. America or something? I don't know. Can you imagine the heat they would get if Hulk Hogan came back representing Chad Gable? And then imagine if you threw in Kurt Angle in that too. It'd be the craziest faction ever. Like, that's just some fantasy booking, but I would love that. I'm just interested in where they're going to go with Chad, because how long do you have Chad Gable wear a mask? You know? Like, and it's just so weird how they're mix and matching the stories together. You got the LWO fighting the New Day, and then you got Chad who comes in there, and maybe that's supposed to throw the heat back onto American Made and finish the New Day story. But it's also like the New Day is a team that's won, like, what, 32,972 tag title reigns? You're telling me they can't beat Rey Mysterio clean? Like, I understand it's a no disqualification match, but, like, without any interference, let alone from Chad Gable of all people, like, I just want the New Day to get clean victories, and I want them to look like badasses while they do it. They look like jobbers while they're doing it. When Xavier was turning heel and Kofi was still trying to stay the face, I loved what they did because they were new to being heels. Like, I know the faction started off as heels, but they'd been faces for, like, all these years. It was so cool how, like, Xavier would try to help Kofi, but he did not know how to be a villain, and it would cost Kofi matches. They're at this point now where they should know what they're doing, and they should still be talented enough as veterans, because they are veterans at this point, to just win matches clean. And I have to say, in terms of New Day, I'm not hyped with them right now. Their intro or their theme song is just so average. The ring gear, it's okay, but the literal song is just, the New Day this, the New Day that. It's the most, like, we cannot get them a good theme song, so we're going to repeat their name as much as we can. And it's mid. Talking a bit about Balor and Breakker. They're having a match next week, and I don't see Breakker losing the title before Mania. However, they have been intentionally placing a lot of Demon merchandise in the Judgment Day room, and I want to see Demon Balor. So I think this can go a few ways. Either we get another upset victory like with Rhea, and Balor finally wins another title. Not a world title, but another title after all this time, and that leads into a feud into Mania. He brings out the Demon Persona next week, which is unannounced, would be crazy, wins, takes the title to Mania, loses to Breakker, feud goes into Mania, we bring the Demon back for Mania. I mean, there's a few different ways it can go. I think either way, the way it needs to end is Finn Balor needs to win. I'm so tired of Finn Balor losing. Like, I was not there for the rise of Finn Balor. That was in those years where I wasn't watching. But I love Finn Balor, and I love, like, what he can do. And he should be winning matches. Like, Damian Priest, a lot of people hate Damian Priest right now. I was not sold on Damian Priest, but when he had his feud with Gunther going into SummerSlam with the WrestleMania or the world title, I wanted him to win. I still wanted Gunther to win overall, but I wanted it to be this thing where Balor tries to cost him the match. Priest still is able to win because he did break out of the hold at first. You have your match with Balor, and then you have the title go to Gunther. But they didn't do that. And Priest is the John Cena of this generation in terms of he just can't lose. And like that street fight with Finn, it's really making Finn pathetic, and I really hope that's by design, that Papa H is cooking, and we're going to get just an awesome run from Finn. And even though at any point they could switch it on and he's a main eventer, it is still too little too late. They are going to have to really build up him as a winner again, even if he gets the big upset victory against Braun Breaker. And on top of that, like, I just want Sheamus to win the Intercontinental belt. I don't think he's been around since losing to Breaker. It's just like, Saturday Night Main Event was the perfect place to do it. And Sheamus is my number 2 favorite of all time. You can imagine the time frame of which I was watching wrestling for that to be the case. But Sheamus is also a veteran at this point, and a lot of people respect him more. Like, I want Sheamus just to win the Intercontinental title, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. If anything, it looks like he might be returning after Mania now, which is ridiculous. But, there's a few places they could go with Braun Breaker. Either way they go, I think Balor needs the title and probably needs to bring the Demon back. Start dripping out the Judgment Day with gold again. Because a lot of people, they just want the Judgment Day to die. And there's days where I'm like, they just need to break up myself. But I think, and it's kind of like with WWE, we have these periods where it's like mid. But then you get like the big stuff. That's like the Judgment Day. Whereas the Bloodline has stayed consistently good, Judgment Day, it dips a lot. But it always dips back up. So I'm never going to be the person that says, shut it down. Because at any point, as we're seeing, they're winning gold. Raquel should win the Intercontinental title next week. I'm kind of sexist. I don't keep up with a lot of the women's matches. Not because they're women, but because I just don't feel hyped with it. If I was able to watch SmackDown, I'd be going crazy watching Chelsea Green. But Lyra Valkyria with the Intercontinental, number one, I'm not familiar with her. Just goes to show like how disassociated I am with certain talent. But they've had the title long enough. They clearly want it to go into Mania, probably. But I think it would be good for Raquel to win the IC belt. Balor wins the IC belt. We get a Judgment Day with women's tag titles and both Intercontinental belts. And then eventually Dominic gets them. Like, imagine Dom wins the world title off of Jay, And then, like, you have a dripped out Judgment Day that look like that. Like, it'd be kind of cool. But, Judgment Day is kind of like Finn Balor. At any point, you can really turn it into something more main event. And I kind of wish they would do it. But Judgment Day, it's a consistent struggle. You get rid of Damian and Rhea. Rhea's really what made that faction, in my opinion. It started off with Edge, but Rhea's like really what took it by storm. It was different because we had a female in there that wasn't like Chyna. Like, she was front and center. Like, she led that group. So it was always going to be difficult to keep it working afterwards. And then let's talk about this new member. Everyone's thinking it's going to be Malachi Black. It probably will be. I want it to be Logan Paul. Logan has wanted to team up with Dominic for so long now. And Logan is finally full-time. Logan Paul needs to join the Judgment Day. It would be so good, man. The heat. Because Logan now has Dominic heat. The New Day lost that Dominic heat, but Logan has the Dom heat. The two of them together, and they've had a couple moments where they've worked together in like a segment here and there. This is the perfect time for it to happen. It would give Logan a new attire. He'd have the purple and all that. It would be so good. I mean, like Logan Paul gets like purple brass knuckles. It would be awesome. It probably won't happen till after Mania if it did. So that makes me really think it's probably going to be Malachi Black. But it's just such a random guy to have join Judgment Day. Like, Judgment Day is somewhat jobbers. No, they are jobbers right now. Like, they're finally getting some victories back. But you throw in Logan, who's like halfway there. He loses because he's an egotistical young guy. I just think I could breathe a new life to Judgment Day, and it'd be really funny for Logan to be a part of a group that Edge started. I just think that would be hilarious. Let's see. What else happened? This is what I'm talking about. Like, Raw is just kind of not fun to keep up with. Like, don't get me wrong, I do watch the entire show the next day, but it's just not as fun to keep up with. Cody coming out, it was a nothing promo. It's really just filler leading up to next week, which is going to be hype. I'm so excited to hear John Cena's new theme, assuming that's when they air it. I've been listening to these themes that fans have been making, and they've been dope. And if we get anything like that, it's going to be pretty cool. Cody still has a black eye because Travis Scott. Travis Scott. People hate Logan Paul, and I get it. I love Logan Paul as a wrestler, and I'm entertained by his content, but I understand why people may not like him. Travis Scott, that one I'm just like, why doesn't he have the Logan Paul heat? You know what I'm saying? I don't like Travis Scott. I don't hate him, though. I think people hate people way too much. I actually kind of enjoyed him being out there for the heel segment. I just wish he didn't get as involved. I just kind of liked him. Like, The Rock doesn't need a hype man, but just like this hip-hop hype man. Like, The Rock wants more hip-hop in his stuff, and it was kind of cool having Travis there. And Travis, people aren't talking about, everyone's talking about the botch. The Rock told him to do it. The problem, I think, was that Cody's face is against the mat, so he had nowhere for the energy to go from the hit, and he obviously shouldn't have hit him that hard. But Travis, I know I'm going to catch some flack for this. He had a little bit of aura to him. He had a little bit of stank to his face, if you know what I'm saying. All right, Travis just looked like an absolute piece of shit, because he kind of is. And it worked. I'm sorry, I think it works. If you build up Travis as this guy that gives people black eyes, if he really is getting training in the center, it'd be kind of cool. I want to see it. I do want to see it. I know not everyone does, and like it's like I don't need it to happen, but I wouldn't mind seeing Travis just do some shit in wrestling. He can be like very part-time, like Logan Paul was. Actually less than Logan Paul was. Like, I don't need to see him every week, but I think it'd be kind of funny, and you can get some real heat on him with what happened with Cody. That receipt needs to come. I need Cody to crossroads this man into a bed of barbed wire with Jon Moxley dipped in gold. That's what I need. And now this main event, probably missing some stuff. Don't care. That's what happens when the product is mid. The steel cage match. I'm a little bored, guys. Number one, it's a steel cage match with commercial breaks. Don't get me wrong, I think Raw's at this perfect place where it's 2.5 hours. I think that really works for it since they can be flexible with it. But, you know, we saw the Seth and Punk match. I loved that first match. I know a lot of people didn't think it was that good. I really enjoyed it. But this is a match where you know they can't go as hard as they could in a steel cage match. Like, the most hype moment was Punk getting superplexed off the top of the cage. He was elevated a little bit more because his legs were on the top part. Like, they weren't on the top. And no one expects them to be. These guys are older. They're winding down in their careers. Punk more than Seth. It was an okay match. And I'm glad that Seth got the victory. But the way that they're trying to turn this into a triple threat with Roman, I think is really silly. Seth wins the match because Roman pulled him out. And at first I thought that was going to be the only reason Punk was going to want to like go after Roman was because, oh my gosh, you cost me this match. Even though Punk was like laid out during the entire segment. Like no matter what, Seth had this match won. Seth winning like that is just, it's kind of silly to me. And I'm watching Seth and Roman have that stare off, and I'm hyped, bro, because they fought last year, but it was the tag match. I've never got to be around for a Roman-Seth feud. Shield is my favorite faction of all time. Screw you, Bloodline. I'm sorry. In terms of legacy and length, Bloodline is killing it, but just the Shield was, it's different. It was guys that weren't main eventers yet. The Bloodline is full of main eventers, and turning the Usos main event when they were like already great tag team champions that have been in the business for years. I digress. Love Shield. Believe in the Shield. I believe that before it's all said and done, one day we will get the return of Jon Moxley. Will it be after AEW now that he's going through a somewhat bad run, as I'm hearing? Who knows? It's as simple as this. I believe in the Shield, and nothing's going to stop me from doing it, even when the world says to give up on him. But I digress. Seth and Roman going at it. I was hyped. I was enjoying it. And then Roman looks over and sees Paul Heyman hugging CM Punk. Hey, that's my wise man. He can't be hugging on CM Punk. I'ma beat the shit out of him. It's just kind of silly. Punk is, Roman versus Seth is what we should be getting. Roman versus Punk should be something we get maybe at SummerSlam. This is a great this is what I thought Mania was going to be. I thought we were going to get Punk versus Drew versus Seth at Mania this year. And damn it, that's what we should have gotten. Punk and Drew have had a couple interactions after the Hell in a Cell match, which I was live for. It was amazing. But they refused to let them touch. Drew got eliminated in the Elimination Chamber before Punk could come out. Drew taunts Punk. it's like they want to keep that feud, because it's a forever feud, even though it ended. Like, it's one of those you can start up at any point again. They want to keep it alive while making sure that they can never be around each other. Drew has to fight Priest. Again, I love Priest. I love Priest way more than other people do. But on top of it being a match that already isn't that thrilling, they fought at Clash at the Castle, man. It was a great match. But it hasn't even been a year since they fought. Like, I'm so tired of all of these feuds starting up again. Like, Nia Jax versus Rhea. Decent match. No one cares. They literally fought less than a year ago. Logan versus Ray. Great match. The pulverizer, such a cool, unique finish. I love it. It's great. But we watched them fight not that long ago. You know, he won the United States title off of him. He fought him at 39. I want to watch Logan fight people like AJ Styles. That's something we didn't talk about. That's going to go great. Logan just walked away. Weird segment. But Logan versus AJ Styles is going to be great at WrestleMania. Those two are going to cook. It's going to be fantastic. But every single week, it's the same match. And that's something that C-Jax always brings up. It's the same match. Over and over and over again. I'm tired of watching the same stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, there are, like, times where you need to bring stuff back. Like, Seth versus Punk, while I wasn't hyped for it, that makes total sense as to why they're fighting again. Was always going to happen. And it's just with Roman being face. I understand that he's still a heel, but he's being cheered, and they're leaning more into him being the hero now. But it's like, if you're thinking about Roman logically, even though he still hasn't said he's sorry to everyone, and we still need that moment where Roman says he's sorry, he sees his best friend hugging his other best friend. And he gets pissed off at that. Like, you did that to hurt Paul Heyman. Like, that's your boy. And you did that to Paul. And honestly, that kind of adds fuel to the fire that perhaps Paul does go for Punk and, like, turns on Roman. I don't know. But we're basically guaranteed to begin this triple threat now. It's going to be a great match. I'm just not excited for it. Like, Roman and Seth deserve their Mania match, and Punk deserves to be in the main event of Mania, which we'll talk about that a bit. I think Punk somehow gets to the main event of Night 2 with Cena and John. I think he calls in the favor and maybe even wins the match against Roman and Seth. And then the next night, he gets the main event. That would be great. That would be awesome for Punk to have two awesome triple threat matches. We're also getting a lot of triple threat matches now, especially if Punk does end up going for that. Because if the United States title ends up being like a big ladder match, that's a multi-man match. Bianca, Io, oh yeah, that's something I gotta bring up, because I don't care about Io versus Bianca. Number one, I don't like Bianca Belair. I'm gonna just say it. I wish she'd turn heel. She'd be so cool as a heel. She'd be whipping people with her hair every week. She wants to stay a face. I get it. She's the John Cena of that side. But that means nothing now because John Cena turned heel. Rhea versus Bianca would have been dope. And I love that they did a surprise, like, title change. But Rhea's story was she lost the title before she was supposed to because she was injured. She took, like, a bad blood. I was there. She should have just won against Liv there. It would have been perfect. They would have had their SummerSlam moment. They could have finished it there, but they dragged that shit out. And now it's another thing where we're being robbed of these one-on-one feuds to have triple threats that, again, will be awesome, but we don't need. I think we should have just had Bianca versus Rhea and then have Io literally win, maybe even the Raw after Mania. That way we could have at least had Rhea do all that. And if Rhea would have won at Bad Blood and lost to Io like last Raw, it would have given her a perfectly good title reign to perfectly end going into Mania. Her taking like almost a year to win back the title, yeah. Oh, won back my title, yeah, that I never lost, yeah. Sorry, C-Jax is coming out of me. For her to go through all that, only to lose it as fast as she did, lame. I did get kind of excited when Io started slapping them both. I thought that was funny because Rhea puts her hand against Io, and all you hear from Io is, like, it was so stupid. It was like a cartoon. And then Bianca's like, shut up, bitch, and starts doing that to her too. And Io's like, oh my god, and then just starts slapping bitches. Very funny. And then she starts talking in Japanese, and she's just jumping around, and I'm sorry, it was kind of silly because she just kind of lost me there, but it was still good. It was still good. But we're getting all these triple threats over one-on-one feuds. Like, I will make a prediction though. If Punk really does call in the favor and somehow gets the main event with Cena, I think Punk cost Cena the match and Cody retains. And we'll talk more when I make a WrestleMania video, like what I want from WrestleMania. But I think if you put Punk in that triple threat, Punk's revenge will be on Cena. That way Punk can main event WrestleMania without winning the title yet and still have his moment. Like, he main evented WrestleMania, he lost, but it's not this devastating loss because he still cost the guy that tried to cost him the match. I don't know. It's just Roman going after them both like that. It's whatever. I will be a lot more excited when Cena comes out. I'm looking forward to Cena coming out. So, that is my current March 10th Raw review. Show's a little mid at the moment, but I think we're about to ramp it up, because with Cena coming back, that's going to be when it really starts to hit the fan, and, it'll be good. We just need Cody on Raw. Cody doesn't need to be on SmackDown. That's another thing. We need him more on Raw, and I hope we get him more on Raw, especially with Cena. And I just think, like, what they need to do leading into Mania is just say the draft does not matter. Like, literally be like, the draft has been lifted. It's all out war. Let everybody do their feuds into Mania, and then have the draft after Mania, and that would reset things. And I guess before I go, talking about main events, Jay versus Gunther, huge Jay fan, yeet. If I ever buy some wrestling merch, the first thing I'm going to buy is a yeet shirt. I want Jay to main event night 1. I do. I want him to be main event Jay. I want him to beat Gunther. Even if the feud sucks, I want Jay to main event, because I'm a Jay fan, I don't care. But the first week where, like, it was official was kind of hyped. Gunther is hitting up on Jay and all that. But now it's 2 weeks in a row where Jay just kind of gets knocked out. We need some blood. We need some tables getting broken. We need more if I'm going to stay hyped for them. Gunther is fighting Alpha Academy, and while it's kind of awesome to watch because you get to see, like, Akira Tozawa out of nowhere just starts whooping ass on Gunther, love that. Against Otis, love that. This is the perfect opportunity for Gunther to get some of those matches we want before Mania. Because the big thing with Gunther, and I've hated this, is every single match is like I've been saying about Raw. It's the same match over and over again. It's so annoying. When he first fought Randy, fantastic. Randy didn't lose clean, and Randy's one of my favorites, and those are two guys that I wanted to fight since I fell in love with Gunther. Love that. Him versus Sammy makes sense. When they threw in Damian, why? And then they extended it with Balor, why? And now he's fighting Jay again. At least it'd been a while since they fought, but this is the perfect opportunity for Punk to come out for it. Like, Gunther should be doing open challenges every week to show that Jay doesn't have it. And he should be fighting people like Punk. Even people like Cena. If Cena wasn't on the hill run, it would have been perfect to have him just chop down Cena. Like, Gunther should be giving us these matches we've been waiting for. And then if you have, like, Punk fighting Gunther, that's a perfect opportunity for Seth to cost him the match. But instead, we're getting these nothing burger matches where Gunther is fighting these guys. Like, it's perfect. Gunther's the kind of guy that wants to fight every week, so it would make sense for him to do an open challenge. And it would make sense to get some of these dream matches on a Raw. But they don't want to do that with the guy that's supposed to be I am the champion. So, it is a little annoying. I don't like it. But I hope the feud builds back up again. We got a few more weeks, and I think they can actually get it. I think the match is actually going to cook. I actually really enjoyed the Jay versus Gunther match at Saturday Night Main Event. I know not everyone did, but I was enjoying it. My cousin Grayson, he is slowly enjoying wrestling. Punk is that wrestler that's getting him hooked into it. And when he saw the Gunther versus Jay match, I think it's like one of those matches that helped it click for him, because, like, he sees Jay get slammed into the turnbuckles and instantly hit the mat, and he's like, oh, that shit looked like it hurt. And, he watched the War Games match and saw Punk, and he's like, what's Punk doing? I'm like, that's his go to sleep. And, like, he loves Punk, and he's getting into wrestling. I just need a little more for Raw. I'm not expecting everything. I'm excited for Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser because I actually really like Ludwig Kaiser. I actually really want him to win a championship. I've just really started to enjoy his character, and Penta's an awesome performer. We're getting a no-holds-barred match. That match is going to cook. I don't care about Pete Dunne. Fall off the face of the earth. I don't care. Butch. My name isn't Butch. No one cares about Pete Dunne. Shut the fuck up. No one cares. Book him better or release him. I know that's his job. I know that's really cruel to say. But I don't give a fuck about Pete Dunne. Shut the fuck up and go home. Ludwig Kaiser, though. Penta. Yeah, it's going to cook. It's going to cook. But that is my Raw review for March 10th, 2025. Mid-show with some good moments. That's currently what Raw is for me. As we get closer to Mania, hopefully we really start building it back up again. That is my current review. Thank you for watching. Keep up. I might make a WrestleMania match at some point. Video, yada yada. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.